Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. This is Xiaomi's Mi 10 Lite 5G. This is the baby of the Mi 10 series. And honestly, I'm pretty excited about this phone because it is the first phone with a Snapdragon 750G 5G, which is a chip that kind of sets it below the 765s that are kind of standard issue for mid-range 5G phones, but above the 690 5G chip that we see on the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. So pretty cool. This is a pretty affordable phone too. I'll put the pricing up here. Let's go through this really quickly. Let's unbox this beast. So this is the box. It's a little dirty. There's like some adhesive on some of the bits here because of the box it was packaged in. You can see here. All right, dun, 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 dun. Nothing in here. We've got a divider here. Then we have the phone, which does not have any protective film on it. That's possibly because this, I think, is a final production, but media package for the reviewers like me. So don't let that fool you. And then we've got another divider with charger and power brick. This looks like a Xiaomi 30-watt brick. Here's USB type A to type C cable. You need to use this cable to get the high-speed charging. Again, this is very common for a lot of phones these days. So let's have a look at what's in the divider here. And we've got designed by Xiaomi. All right, we got a SIM removal tool. Then we've got, oh, it's just a case. So I guess there's no paperwork because again, this is kind of a pre-release but not pre-production device. I like these TPU cases. They're nice. You get a pretty decent case to protect your phone until you get a better case, and they're TPU and flexible, but they don't get too yellow with time, so pretty cool. All right, so let's have a look at the phone because that's really what we came for. Ta-da! Look at this thing. That's nice. It's a pretty big phone, but in line with something like a Poco X3 NFC. Just turned it on. Here we go. So let's start with the display. This is a 6.67-inch panel. It is a IPS display. This is a LCD panel, 1080p. And this is a 120 hertz panel, which is really nice, just like the Poco X3 NFC. In many ways, this phone is very much like a Poco X3 NFC, but with 5G. So yeah, that's pretty cool because of that Snapdragon 750. So 6.67-inch 120 hertz 1080p IPS panel. That means there's no in-display fingerprint sensor. Instead, it's on the power lock key here. I'll walk you through that later. There's a hole punch here with a 16 megapixel f/2.5 1 micron selfie camera. And then in the back, we've got a whole bunch of sensors. So let's take a look at those and talk about them. So we've got a 64 megapixel main sensor f/1.9. It is 0.8 microns, so it does pixel binning down to 16 megapixels. And then it has an 8 megapixel ultra wide, f/2.2, 1.12 micron pixels. And then there's two 2 megapixel secondary cameras, I guess. f/2.4, both of them. There's a macro and a depth sensor. So again, 2 megapixel, f/2.4. LED flash here. I kind of like this camera pod. It's a very interesting design. You know, just like the Poco X3 NFC, I'm just going to keep bringing it up, but you know, it has also a weird camera pod like this with the kind of the bottom and top cut off like that. Now, under the hood, you've got a pretty large 4820 milliamp hour battery. Supports 33 watt fast charging, just like the charger. And then, of course, there's no wireless charging on this phone or anything like that. Don't get too excited. Fingerprint sensor is on the side, as I mentioned. There is stereo audio, so I guess the earpiece up here acts as a speaker alongside the bottom speaker, which makes perfect sense. Now let's talk about the guts, right? We're probably curious about the memory and all that stuff. So there is micro SD support on this phone, which is great. So they all come with 6 gigabytes of RAM and they come with 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage. UFS 2.1 or 2.2 depending. So again, Snapdragon 750 5G. This is kind of like the new chip on the block for 5G. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out. Anyway, that's it, folks. I'm just going to quickly give you a tour of the edges. We've got a volume rocker, power lock key with an integrated fingerprint sensor on the right-hand side. On the bottom here, we've got one of the two speakers, primary microphone, USB Type-C, and a headphone jack, which is great. On the left-hand side, you don't really have anything except for the SIM slot with micro SD support. Then on top, you have an infrared transmitter, very popular on Xiaomi phones, and the secondary mic. Now, I'm not really sure what this phone is made of. I'm pretty sure the back is glass, but I think the frame is plastic, especially judging from the finish. But it's like a nice little matte finish, so it looks pretty good, I think. Bit of a fingerprint magnet, though. So that's it, folks. That's my quick tour of the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite 5G. Quite a mouthful, I admit. And then, I will be talking about this in more detail on the podcast, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, click the little notification bell below, and tell me in the comments, is this a phone you would consider? I don't think it'll have 5G bands for the US, but if you're in India or in Europe or Asia or whatever, would you buy this phone? So yeah, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to the podcast as well. mobiletechpodcast.com on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify, pretty much everywhere. And that's it, folks. Stay tuned for more videos soon. Until then, cheers, everybody.